Right, here I am on Storesbridge Lane in the beautiful Loxley Valley. It's the, what date is it today? The 23rd of, yes, the 23rd of February 2019. And I want to just make a video, or maybe a couple of videos, about the Hepworth refractory site in the Loxley Valley, or what used to be the Hepworth site. I think it's now owned by Bovis, which is a housing, or at least most of the site is owned by Bovis, which is a house builder. Although it's highly unlikely that this site is going to be housing because it's on a floodplain. So what I want to do today is to talk about the site and what I think could be a good proposal for what should go on that site, because at the moment there seems to be nothing happening with the site. It's an eyesore in this beautiful valley. This is the lane here. And something needs to be done with it, and if we can get something going there that can bring people in, maybe it's a bit of a tourist attraction, then I'm sure that will be a good thing for the region as a whole. So I just want to walk through the site, and I'm starting off here because on Storesbridge Lane there is this old I'm not sure what it is. I think it just used to be an old house, an old Victorian house, but you can see it's in, if I go towards the wall, it's in quite bad state of repair, to say the least. But the walls still look pretty solid. Just needed a new roof on and some new windows and furbishing. It's probably going to be all right. I foresee there's room there probably to build an extension if need be, as a hotel for the development that I'm going to be presenting, or at least talking about, as we walk down the lane here. So again, let's get some glimpses of that house and the land that it sits in, which is by itself is quite extensive. Although as far as I know, this is not a part of the Bovis site. It's kind of a separate site. I don't know if it's owned by Bovis. I'm not sure who owns it, but you can see it's in a mess, complete and utter mess. And the house is behind those shrubs there. So there is plenty of car parking here. There's plenty of room to extend if you're going to build a hotel. If this development that I'm going to talk about could come into being. So let's just walk down now. It's absolutely gorgeous day. It's been so warm and sunny for the past really couple of weeks now. Temperatures up in the high teens, which is so unusual for February. I mean, it's February, but you can see now you can see the factory buildings, or the ex-factory buildings. You can probably hear the river, because if we just look over this wall here, you can see the River Loxley. There's a footpath that goes all the way down to Malin Bridge and goes all the way up to Dam Flask, which is just up there. And you can enter the walk here and see some of the historic mill dams all the way down. But here is the main refractory site, the main Bovis site. Not here as such, but over there. Not sure how many acres it is, but it's quite a big site. And what I'm proposing is that on that site, if you can get enough people involved, is to create something like a wildlife stroke animal sanctuary centre along the lines of the butterfly farm in Rotherham, if anybody knows that, but a bigger version of that. So it's probably, I'm thinking, a cross between that, the butterfly farm, Yorkshire Wildlife Park, but I'm not proposing that we have lions and tigers and giraffes and rhinoceros and, you know, and those kinds of creatures, but something that is focused very much on wildlife and animal protection, the protection of species, increasing biodiversity, but also making it a really, really good tourist attraction, because that's where the butterfly farm comes in. So fantastic play areas for kids, lots to do, falconry displays, lots of different animals to see, while at the same time, because the reason that this is not going to be built on, as I understand it, for housing, is because in 2007 a lot of Sheffield flooded, and this flooded because you're right next to the river here, so hence it's not really appropriate for housing, but as part of the development, and you know, I would have to draw up plans to kind of show what I mean, I suppose, that some of the site could actually be taken away and removed and actually used as a floodplain for the river. So you can see now you've got the river down there, and you've got a solid concrete wall there. So obviously that's you know, that's quite a bottleneck there. So there may be scope on parts of this site, certainly further down the river towards the kind of Rags end of the river. I think it's just been bought by Urban Splash, and there may be some housing going on there because it's a little bit higher than the river. But there may be some scope there to actually take some of the land away and created extra ponds, extra floodplains, extra wildlife habitat. But this would be the kind of main focus of the area. This would be the car park. Let's take a walk along here. Big car park. All of these buildings, these modern buildings that you see, I foresee as being taken away, as do I see all that over there. Now there's asbestos on site, so obviously that would be expensive to clear up, so there would need to be, you know, various financial partners involved in this to actually make it come about. But all this would be swept away. I mean, you would have a massive car park for the site here, and I say massive, probably you could probably get, when all this is taken away, or most of this is taken away, you could probably get, I don't know, 500 cars in, something like that. But I envisage the car park to be similar to Wentworth Garden Centre, where anybody who knows Wentworth Garden Centre, you drive in there and immediately you're under a canopy of trees. There are trees planted throughout the car park. So from above, you don't actually, you know, see the cars. The trees are offsetting, to a certain extent, the, you know, the pollution, the CO2 given off by the cars. So all this will go. We're just heading towards the water treatment centre. Video's already at 9 minutes. And there's a little pond for private fishing up here called Loxley Fisheries. So this would stay open, and people could still walk through, and people could use this car park. You know, they don't have to use it to go into my proposed wildlife centre stroke animal sanctuary stroke environmental complex. They could park up here, and use it to walk out to Downflask and Bradfield, or go along the Loxley Valley to Malin Bridge. So yeah, so all this would go, all these warehouses would go. As you can see there, it says danger asbestos in this building. All these would go. All this would be car parking, because I'm envisaging a major tourist attraction for the whole region. Again, anybody who's visited the butterfly farm, especially in summer, will know how they have to kind of park on the field to get all the people in that's there. Now this old building, you know, this is quite nice. I envisage this as being a pub. Keep this, be a pub, open all the time, or you know, during opening hours. And here, going over this bridge from this car park, will be the main entrance to the wildlife centre. So there's could be a nice open square here. You could maybe retain these buildings as a modern extension, or possibly get rid of them, and because this is south facing, so what time am I? 25 past 10 at the moment. The sun's over there in the kind of southeast, so that way is south, southwest and west. So this area will get sun all the day. So you could maybe take this down and have a nice open area here, or even keep this as a kind of modern extension to the pub, more restauranty area to the pub, and maybe remove this brick building and have a terrace onto the river, because as we cross over this bridge, you have the river here. And again, it's, as you can see, the river is quite narrow, so removing these buildings and maybe extending the riverbank, again, you're giving the river more of a floodplain to go into to help to alleviate that flooding. I mean, it's on stilts, so the river has got some leeway to actually go under this building. But even so, you could take it even further back by several yards, so that the pub is virtually right on the river bank. Or at least on a kind of landscaped area, or some kind of wildlife area that, if the river floods, will flood first and won't actually flood the site. Again, here you can see solid concrete. It's kind of a pinch point for the river, which historically, I suppose, has to a certain extent protected this site, but with climate change, that's not going to do the job. Potentially in the coming years, you need to extend, you need to widen that river as much as you can get away with. But as we cross over this bridge, again, that would probably be replaced, so it's disabled friendly. This would be the main entrance into the site. So you'd enter here, and obviously all this would be fenced off for security purposes. You'd have to pay to go in. But most of this, or if not all of it, is, you know, is to be cleared away and start afresh, and create something that is more environmentally friendly, and it's going to give people a really, really good day out. Again, keep in mind the butterfly farm at Rotherham, and to a lesser extent Yorkshire Wildlife Park out at Doncaster. For example, I don't see why here you couldn't have some lemurs. You know, they have lemurs at the wildlife park, and again you can see the extent of the site. I'm on my iPhone, so I'm not able to zoom in. But this is a public footpath, so this would remain open. There's the water treatment works. But but it's a eyesore in an absolutely beautiful, stunning setting. And I would like in my lifetime to see all this swept away and something that is going to actually bring people into this area, because at the moment the Loxley Valley itself is a kind of people don't stop in the Loxley Valley. People go from Malin Bridge or from Loxley itself out to Bradfield or out to Dam Flask, same thing really. But there's nothing to stop them actually in the valley itself. And to a certain extent, having something here may take some of the pressure off places like Bradfield, which certainly in summer at the weekend, you can't park there. It's so busy. This gives people another option, something to do that's different, something that they can't get anywhere in Sheffield, something that they have to go to the other side of Rotherham for. Whereas this is at the other side of Sheffield from that. So I don't think it would compete with the butterfly farm at Rotherham. I don't think it would compete with Yorkshire Wildlife Park. I think it would stand alone as a major tourist attraction for Sheffield and for people out in the Peak District who maybe wouldn't think of coming into Sheffield, because why would you when you've got Castleton and Bakewell and Chatsworth, etc. But there is probably something here then that they could easily access coming in from the peaks that isn't just Meadow Hall or Sheffield City Centre or one of the football clubs on a Saturday afternoon. So what I'm going to do, I'm already on 16 minutes. I'm going to try and walk around the whole site. I don't know if I'll have enough space on my camera to do that. I'm going to walk up this public footpath. Again, more asbestos ramshackle buildings. And just try and get a view over the site so you can see how extensive it is. I'm not sure how many acres it is. I should have done that research when I first started, but it's probably somewhere in the region of, I would guess, and this is a wild guess, I'm going to look ridiculous if I'm wrong, somewhere between 30 and 60 acres, something like that. Possibly more. Shall we say 30 to 80? I'm giving myself as wide a range as possible. I shall have to have a look when I get home on a map. But it's a fairly decent size. It's not as big, the site's not as big as Yorkshire Wildlife Park, but the site is bigger than the butterfly farm. And again, that's the path I've just walked up. And you can probably just see through this fencing the roofs of some of the buildings, into the chimney there. Don't know if you can get a view, certainly not in summer because there's so many trees. It's a little bit muddy, but not too bad because we've not had any rain, or hardly any rain. But as we get up here, I'll just carry on. Just take it up to about 20 minutes, this video. It's quite a steep hill. And a beautiful day. Now you're seeing how beautiful that valley is. You can see a small number of the warehouses there. Now, so there's some solar cells there, so you know, it looks like somebody's on site. Not sure what's happening there, but yeah, the potential is just so good. I mean, you'd obviously have to, as I say, you'd have to get the government involved. There'd need to be some public subsidy to clear the site. Maybe could we work with Yorkshire Water to take away some of the solid walls and let the river expand a little bit more in this area. Put in wetlands, maybe more ponds, because there are ponds around the site. It's such a lovely walk up here. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. Oh, how fortunate are we to live here. 5 minutes drive from where I live. Just amazing. We really don't know how fortunate we are. Right, just 21 minutes, just a little bit further, just get over this sty. Is it a sty or a stile? Stile, I think. So you've got other public footpaths that you can join here, but I'm just gonna oh yeah, you can't see. Right. Yeah, let me just walk down here a little bit just to see if we can see any more of the site from an opening that I think is along here. That's some pull up there. Right. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be any solutions for that site other than possibly keeping it as a site for warehousing, which I think is, when there are so many sites in and around Sheffield, even going as far as to Markham, the Markham main site on the M1. You know, this is out in the sticks. This is not the best site for warehousing, but that seems to be the only solution for this site at the moment. Whereas there are still so many places on Penistone Road, around Penistone Road there at Neep's End, down the Lower Don Valley, and I'd say further out around the wider Sheffield region that are more appropriate for warehousing, that have better access to major roads, etc. This site specifically is ideal for a tourist attraction. If we're trying to build visitors in what is a part of the Sheffield Lakeland area, then we need some anchor tenants, like Meadowhall needs its anchor tenants in, you know, Marks and Spencer and Debenhams or whatever. The same principle works when you're looking at tourist attractions. You need one or two anchor tenants to bring people into the area, and then they kind of spread out and go elsewhere within the area. Everybody benefits as long as you do it right and you do it appropriately. So I'm going to leave you with that, framing that little view there, that lovely ash tree, framing that view, just a view of the warehouses. We're nearly at 25 minutes, so I'm going to walk up there and see, because I think there's a load of trees up there from what I remember right. If I get a good glimpse through, I'll start recording again, but I'll record as I'm starting to walk down and round the other side, because as I said before, I want to do a full circle of the site, so we get an idea as to the size of it. So bye for now.